it's not that you're just too busy. It's that you are the bottleneck. And I see this all the time with small business owners, not just interior designers. We think we're overwhelmed because there's just too much to do. But often it's not the volume of the work, it's that everything depends on us to move forward. We are the filter, we are the decision maker, we are the safety net.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. We are heading into prime summer vacation season. I've got trips to Europe planned. I've got my new cottage to hopefully move into. It's going to be a very busy, packed summer for me. And I know that your calendar is probably already filling with long weekends, maybe time up north or down south or whatever you call it, at a cottage or family trips, summer camp, family camp, I don't know. But even just the idea of stepping away for a few days to take in that summer sun, especially if you're not from California or someplace hot, I know that you're ready. And here's what I want to ask you. When you think about that, though, when you actually think about taking time off this summer, do you feel like you can fully unplug? Or does it feel like one of those, I'll be away, but I will just be checking in kind of situations? Because if you stepped away for a full week, no emails, no checking in, no quick, just make sure everything's okay messages, what would happen in your business? Would things keep moving? Or would projects pause? Would the decisions kind of stack up because you're the bottleneck? Would your team quietly kind of wait for you to come back to make any big decisions? Would your contractor be calling you stressed? Or would the contractor say, hey, we're not doing anything till she gets back? Or would things keep moving and you'd come back to things a little bit better than when you left them? What would it look like for you? Because if you feel that if you stepped away, your projects would slightly pause, decisions might pause as well, then this episode's for you. And that is not from a place of judgment. That's just from experience, because I have fully 100% been there. Okay, so there was a time in my business where I had a team, right? And I thought we had systems, and I thought I was pretty supported, but the reality was that everything still ran through me. Every decision, every client response, every just to be sure approval, final approval before the order is placed, even when I wasn't actively working or when I was trying to take vacation with my family, I was still the one driving the bus, steering the ship. And I remember trying to take a few days off, and I actually don't even think I expected to have a real vacation. It was one of those, like, I'm just going to be in a different city, or I'm just going to be in a different place, and I'd be distracted by my kids, right? As you are as a new mom, like, you've got little ones running around, so you're maybe not thinking as much about work, but in the quiet moments, you might get a message or a text and feel stressed and feel like you need to check in. And so the reality was, like, my emails didn't stop. Even though I would put an out of office responder, I was still responding to emails. Who here is guilty of doing that? You have an autoresponder that says you'll get back to them on Monday of whatever date, but you just quickly pop in and you say, I'm just popping in for vacation. I just noticed this, just checking on any urgent things. Hello, I've done this so many times, guys. You might even be getting questions from your team, and that could be the people that work for you that you have said, I'm on vacation, but if anything urgent comes through, you can reach me. Or you may have said, don't bother me, I'm on vacation. And then you reach out to them with a Slack message, with a text message, with an email. Or Maybe you get a client email. You weren't expecting to. They know you're on vacation, but they just had to send something through while it's on top of mind. And you are on vacation, sweating your response, knowing I'm not going to reply because it's vacation, because I said I wouldn't reply. So I'm just going to reply on Monday when I get back, but maybe I should draft it now. What am I going to say? And then you wake up the next day and you forget about it. Then you remember it again. Okay. I feel like hopefully not. Hopefully none of you can relate to this at all. But hopefully these pictures that I'm painting are somewhat familiar, because the reality of every single one of these scenarios is that it's not that you're just too busy. It's that you are the bottleneck. And I see this all the time with small business owners, not just interior designers. We think we're overwhelmed because there's just too much to do. But often it's not the volume of the work. It's that everything depends on us to move forward. We are the filter. We are the decision maker. We are the safety net. We are the one the client wants and feels like they need, because we've led them to believe that nothing is going to be done properly unless it's us. And in the early stages of your business, I will tell you this makes sense. When you are starting a business as a creative, whatever your craft is, whether you're interior design, whether you're a photographer, I mean, you are doing everything. Part of it is that you care so deeply about the work, right? You want to get it perfect. You're likely a bit of a perfectionist, and you want things done right. You want to make the client happy. You don't want to have any friction when you get home. And oftentimes it does feel faster to just handle it yourself. And the reality is, yeah, it is probably faster for you to do the thing because you are more experienced, you care more. But the thing is, you've got to do a lot of things. When you have that many volume of tasks, it actually is not faster for you to do it. And over time, it creates something that feels like control. But the reality is that's actually fragility, because the business only works when you are fully in it. You can't step away. You can't retire. So the real question becomes, have you built a business that can operate without you? Or, because I know that everyone's probably going to be like, no, I want to be in my business, and I get that. Or is it one that depends on you for everything? And I can tell you that I've been recently going through that now with this new business, with this online business, realizing I need to release control. I need to let the people who I've hired do their jobs, and I need to empower them to do it without me needing to review every decision. So today I want to give you 3 shifts just to get your brain ticking and make you think a little bit more profoundly about this. And it's not anything that you're going to go and overhaul overnight. These are things that I want you to sit with, because they will totally change how your business runs if you actually implement them. Okay, so there's 3 things. Number 1, decision ownership has to be distributed. It's what I just said about me passing on some ownership to my team. Right now, I want you to think about this. What decisions in your business only move forward if you personally touch them? Seriously, take a minute. Think about it. Is it sourcing? Is it design selections? Is it client emails? Is it vendor questions? Is it price checking? Is it decisions on site? If everything is coming back to you, you have created a decision bottleneck. This, I believe, is the most common bottleneck, because the decisions feel important. They feel big. They feel like no one else could possibly make them. And it usually sounds like this. You might say something like, well, just run it by me first. Or, can you please ensure that you CC me on that email? Or, I just want to have a quick look at it before we send it. And I get it. It feels very responsible. Ultimately, it's your name on the letterhead, right? You've hung up your shingle. This is your business. And you want to make sure that everything is going to go according to your expectations. What's actually happening is you are slowing everything down, and it's keeping you stuck in the middle of every single process. The shift here is defining ownership, not just the tasks, but the decisions. Not who's going to do the AutoCAD drawings, but who's going to decide that this is the final layout. Now, that example might still be you, but you get the point, right? Who owns what and within what parameters? So if you have someone writing your monthly newsletter, how much can you let them do it? without you needing to get involved in every single aspect. Okay, maybe you like writing the copy, maybe not. Maybe they send you a review, you give them feedback, and then you let them send it. You don't need to then review it again a third time. Now, I will add one caveat here. Don't do this with a new hire. You want to make sure that you obviously have trained somebody so they understand what your expectations are. But at some point, you have to release control because your team, the whole point of having a team is that you shouldn't need to be needed for everything. They want clarity on where they can move with and without you. This will free up your time so that decisions can be made while you're not there. Okay, so number two. So that was number one. So number one was decision ownership needs to be distributed. That's decision ownership. Number two is your process. Your process needs to work without you explaining it. This is a big one. So if your team is constantly coming to you, and when I say team, I know some of you don't have a full, robust team. It could just be an assistant. It could even be a freelancer you're working with. But if they're saying to you, what's next? How do we usually do this? Can you walk me through this part again? That's not a team problem. That's not their fault. That is a process gap. And a lot of designers are running incredibly successful businesses, but everything lives in their head. I know this. I see this with almost every designer who comes inside Designer's Room. When they come into Designer's Room and we have a conversation on the phone, and a lot of the times these designers are saying, I just got to get it down on paper. Or I started to document my process, but I got busy. It's in their head. I get it. You're busy. Taking time to sit down and type out everything you do in a project is time that is taken away from sourcing that fabric, picking up that replacement floor sample, meeting the contractor to review the tile layout, whatever it is, meeting the electrician, going to the client's house, booking a consultation. But there will always be something else that's more important. No, scratch that. There will always be something else that's more urgent. But this is important. And we want to focus on things that are important before it becomes urgent. So what happens is the way you run a project, the way you communicate with clients, the way you move from phase one to the next, you know it, but no one else can fully execute without you because either it's in your head completely and you've never really documented it, or you've documented it, but it's not super clear. So no one else can fully execute or make a decision. That was back to the first thing I wanted you to consider. No one can make those decisions because it's not outlined what needs to happen in order to make that decision. And that's where things will start to stall the moment that you step away because you're not there to guide the ship. You don't need complicated systems. I just want to tell you, I talk a lot about process and systems. My Power of Process framework is a game changer. It is simple though. It is 7 steps. You do not need to overcomplicate this. You are not going to have 100 SOPs, standard operating procedures, from the get-go launching a business. Those will be developed with time. But you need a client-facing process so that your team or your part-time assistant knows what's happening every step of the way. Clear phases. Your process should have clear expectations and just clear ways that you work. Because if you had to step away tomorrow, something or someone should be able to look at a project and know what happens next without needing to ask you. That is when true freedom of time starts to happen. Okay, so we talked about number 1, which is decision ownership has to be distributed. You can't be the only person making all the decisions. And then the second one is your process needs to work without you explaining it. It needs to be self-evident without you physically being in the room to talk about the process. And then lastly, the third area I would love for you to focus on so that you can vacate your business. And this one is truthfully the hardest one. I know, you're like, but Rebecca, the other 2 are really hard. I'm not ready for that. Well, just you wait. Number 3 is you need to redefine your role. Because it's not about your team, it's about you. And a lot of designers are still operating as the principal designer or the only designer, the project manager, the administrator, the HR specialist, the client communicator. Literally, you're wearing all of the hats all at once. And when you're in all of those roles, as you take on more projects, everything is depending on you. But if you don't evolve, you will burn out. And absolutely, vacation will mess up your project flow. You can't be the single person in your business doing everything and expect the business to run without you. Remember why you got into running a business for yourself in the first place. You probably wanted a bit of time freedom. We all want to have flexibility, but the biggest joke that rolls through Instagram all the time is like, I thought I was getting into business for myself so I could work less hours, and the joke's on me because now I'm working more hours than I did in my corporate job, right? So we want to move your position in your company from doing the work to guiding decisions to leading the business. And that means you don't need to answer every email. You don't need to be on every single email thread. Oh, gasp. I know some of you are like, what? That's crazy talk, Rebecca. The little control freaks out there are like, nope, never giving that up. And it also means you don't need to fix every problem. Your team or one person or two people should be able to handle more likely than you are currently letting them. I'm not saying hand it all over all at once. This happens in dribs and drabs slowly, but it has to start somewhere. And that's going to require trust, but it also requires structure. And so I want to pause here for a second because this isn't about doing more. It's about seeing your business differently. So I want you to ask yourself, 1, where am I the bottleneck right now? This is something I talk a lot about inside the predictability workshop. It's called the Predictability Framework. We do a couple workshops a month. You're welcome to join. It's free. I really talk about that. So if you're not sure if you're the bottleneck, join that workshop and I will let you know whether or not you are. Spoiler alert, most of us are the bottleneck in our own business. So ask yourself, where am I the bottleneck right now? What would actually stop if I took 5 days off? But actually ask yourself, sit down, take out a piece of paper and say, okay, if I just stop for 5 days, what else would stop in my business? Okay. There'd be no one to reply to client emails. Okay. Client emails or job site or sourcing, or make a list. It might be a really long list. If you are doing everything, you have no one to help you. But if you have someone supporting you, maybe at least the AutoCAD would keep going because you freelance, you hire out the AutoCAD, or you're delegating, an assistant who's placing orders for you. So at least orders are still going. I want you to really think about it. And then lastly, what am I holding on to that I don't need to anymore? And this will be different depending on what stage of business you're at. This will be different depending on your skill set. But what am I holding on to that I don't need to anymore? Let me tell you, when I started delegating, I was terrible at it. I would just dive in and do it because it was faster for me to do it, or I would get irritated that it was taking them too long, or I would get irritated that they weren't doing it the way that I wanted to do or the way that I would have done it, but I never told them how to do it in the first place, so I don't know how I could be irritated. Ugh, it was a mess. And for the longest time, I insisted on being CC'd on all of the emails that my team would send to vendors, to clients especially. Listen, initially no one was emailing my client but me. Then I would slowly bring in some design assistants to help, and they would send emails, but I would always be CC'd. But once I got to a place where I knew I had someone senior enough who was good with communication, and I was CC'd on the first several emails, I eventually said, take me off CC, please. I only need to be CC'd in these 3 situations. 1, when I have to weigh in on something. 2, I don't remember what they were. There were certain situations. And at first it felt really weird and scary because I'm like, what is this person sending out? I hope it's a representation of me. But at that point, I'd already seen them send enough emails that I knew they could do it. And I was at capacity in my inbox. I realized I wasn't even reading most of the emails that I was CC'd on. So what the frick? Why the heck was I being CC'd in the first place? And as long as that person is sending emails from your organization's email server, you can see what they send, right? That's also important to remember. There needs to be an element of trust. But if you're at that place and you still can't relinquish control, I want you to consider, what are you holding on to that you don't need to anymore? For me, massive game changer. I remember showing up to a reveal day and I hadn't been on the job site once after the client approved the presentation. My senior designer was there, my project manager had been there, and I came on reveal day. And I remember thinking, I feel like I just cracked a code. This is how I want to run a business. Now, that's not for everybody. Some of you want to be involved in every job site visit, and I used to, and that changed for me. But with you, where you're at right now, what are you holding on to you don't need to? Okay, because here's the truth. I'm going to break it down, and then I'm going to let you go do this exercise. But control can feel really scary. And control can feel really safe. But it doesn't create stability. A business that only works when you're in it is not stable. It's dependent. And if your goal is to grow, to take on better projects, to build a team, to actually have space in your life to go on vacation this summer, then this is the work that we need to do. Not more marketing, not more hustle, but building something that can move even when you're not the one pushing it forward every second of the day. This is something that we work on a lot inside Designer's Room. It's not just how to get more clients, it's how to build a business that can actually hold those clients, those projects, and that team without falling back on you and leading you to burnout, leading you to overwhelm. Because that's where the real shift is going to happen, where you will find more joy in your business so that you can be freed up to do the things that you do and love best. All right, if this episode hit home, that's a good thing. It means you're at a point where your business is ready to grow beyond you alone, and that's when the real shift is going to happen. It all starts with letting go of being the center of everything, one decision at a time. You got this. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend and let me know once you've done these exercises. Did you have an aha? I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM. And of course, if you are interested in our predictability framework workshop, just find the link in our show notes. And I would love to see you in one of our upcoming workshops. All right. I'll see you soon.